Hey there, viewers. It's pretty much impossible to avoid stress. You're going to experience it in some way or another. It could be due to your job, relationship, or financial woes. Sometimes it's all of those things. The problem starts when stress becomes a chronic issue. It can cause various illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, and heart problems. You could be stressed without even knowing it. In today's video, we'll talk about common signs and symptoms of too much stress. Do you get headaches often? What about colds and flu? We'll talk about all of these and more. Headaches. Are you getting headaches on the regular? There could be several reasons for that, but stress is one of the main ones. When you have a headache due to stress or tension, you'll usually feel pain at the sides of your brain. If you feel this all the time, you're likely under a lot of stress. The pain not only is in your head, it can also be in the neck and face. In one study, when the intensity of the participants' stress increased, the number of days they suffered from headaches also rose. There was another study conducted among military members. Results confirmed that stress was a big reason for their headaches. As many as 2/3 of the participants reported headaches due to the anxiety and stress they felt while in the line of duty. Catching colds and flus. Are you one of those people who get sick all the time? If you get sick without any underlying problems, it could be due to stress. The relationship between your immunity levels and your stress levels are pretty important. The higher the stress, the lower your immunity to cold and flu. A study was conducted on over 100 adult participants. They were given the vaccine for the flu. Participants with chronic stress had a weak immunity response to the vaccination. This showed how stress levels reduced a person's immunity levels. Research also shows that if you have a lot of stress, you might even end up with an upper respiratory infection. Further studies also showed that you can have other issues, like your wounds losing the ability to heal as quickly. You also won't be able to fend off diseases. Of course, there are several other reasons for suffering from illnesses, like not getting enough nutrients from your diet. But still, if you're getting sick on the regular, you might want to pay attention to your mental health. Problems falling asleep and lack of energy. Another symptom of high stress is a lack of regular sleep. People who suffer from chronic stress end up with insomnia. You'll not have a good sleep, which will only result in a lack of energy later in the day. In one study, people who stress and worry about things had sleep disturbances. This could end up turning into insomnia. Another study was conducted among the 2,300 participants. Those who were exposed to high stress levels had a greater chance of insomnia. The focus of both sides was on sleep reactivity. This determines how much stress can affect a person's ability to stay asleep, or even to fall asleep in general. Another study was conducted among more than 7,000 adults who were working professionals. The participants suffered from fatigue when they were dealing with work-related stress. While stress is a key factor when it comes to lack of sleep, some people still manage to sleep without any disturbances at all. So you should figure out if your insomnia is happening due to stress or other health problems. Depression. If you have chronic stress, you may also be suffering from chronic depression or have random depressive episodes. A study was done on more than 800 women suffering from a major depression. It was no surprise that chronic stress was one of the main reasons behind why they were feeling this way. In another study among adolescents, high stress levels were linked with major depression. In fact, many other studies have pointed out a strong link between both high stress and feelings of depression. Of course, depression is a complex issue, so many different factors can contribute to a person's feeling depressed. Of course, stress is one of those main ones. Acne. One of the symptoms of high stress is an outbreak of acne. This is usually because people under stress keep touching their faces. It's usually out of nervousness or exhaustion. As relieving as it may feel, when you do that, you're spreading bacteria to your face. This results in acne. There have been various studies that show the link between high stress levels and the development of acne. In one study among 22 students, the stress levels among the participants were tracked before and during the test. Results showed that stress levels were highest among the exams. This is when their acne was also at its worst. In another study of nearly 100 teenagers, it was seen that those who had higher amounts of stress had worse acne. This was especially true in the case of boys. There are many other reasons for acne, including a shift in hormones and clogged pores. But stress can be a relevant factor when it comes to pimples. If you want to avoid getting acne, you want to find a way to handle your stress. Changes in libido. One indicator of high stress levels is your libido. When you're under stress, your libido levels tend to go down. Your performance in the bedroom will be rocky when you're worried. If something's on your mind, it's best to get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, this stroke of bad luck will continue. In one study among 30 women, the stress levels of the participants were evaluated. They were then shown an erotic film and their mood was tracked. Results from the study showed that those who had high stress levels had much lower libido compared to those whose stress levels were on the lower end. In a recent study, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the reproductive health of women was observed. Nearly 50% of the 1,000 women studied reported having much lower libido. This was because of the stress of the pandemic. Psychological issues and fatigue can also be the reason for lower libido, but more often than not, it's because of a high stress level. Digestive issues. Digestive issues such as constipation and diarrhea can be caused by various underlying problems. One major reason for these digestive issues is chronic stress. In one study of nearly 2,700 children, participants who were exposed to stressful events had a higher chance of constipation. Higher stress levels can also be the reason behind your irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel disease. Research of more than 180 women with IBS showed they had higher amounts of digestive distress. An analysis of around 20 studies found that there was a relationship between IBD and stress levels. More than 70% of tests found a connection between chronic stress and this disease. In another study, a direct link was established between high stress levels and symptoms related to IBS. If you're stressed out all the time, you have a greater chance of going to the bathroom more often. That certainly doesn't sound like fun. Changes in appetite and weight gain. Do you stress eat a lot? This is actually a pretty common reaction to stress. When your brain is overwhelmed, you may turn to food as a form of comfort. After a while, you'll end up eating all your favorite snacks and gain some weight as a result. In many cases, stress can do the opposite. It can ruin your appetite completely, causing you to miss out on meals and drop a few pounds. A study was conducted on more than 250 female college students. It was seen that around 80% of the participants reported a change in their appetite whenever they were suffering from high stress levels. Around 60% of these people said they ate more when they were stressed. Types of stress. Understanding different types of stress is important. This way, you'll recognize some of the alarming signs. Not all types of stress are harmful or negative. Let's discuss all of the 4 types one by one. Acute stress. Remember those stressful nights before a major exam? That was acute stress you were feeling. It only lasts a short period of time and can either be positive or negative depending on your current situation. This is the type of stress we encounter in our day-to-day lives. Chronic stress. Have you ever felt tired for months on end? It's almost as if you can't get to sleep no matter how hard you try. You could be going through chronic stress. It's the type of stress that seems inescapable and never-ending. Chronic stress can stem from childhood trauma or terrible experiences in your adult life. The stress you get from an abusive marriage or a toxic job. It's important to speak to someone. It's the first step to dealing with your issues. Episodic acute stress. Do you live a life of ongoing stress? Well, episodic acute stress could be what you're dealing with. It comes and goes like a wave. It almost becomes a routine for you. Eustress. This is the only type of stress you may actually desire in your life. It's a fun and exciting form of stress that keeps you energized and level-headed. You get stressed when you're rushing to meet a deadline or going on an adrenaline-boosting adventure. If you've ever done an activity like skiing or snowboarding, you know what I'm talking about. Eustress is associated with surges of adrenaline. Impact of stress. Your mind and body are connected. What's bothering you mentally will end up affecting you physically in the long run. The reverse is also true. Health problems can give you stress. Serious acute stress can trigger heart attacks and even sudden death. This type of stress is usually caused when you face trauma like personal tragedy or intense verbal altercations. Stress takes an emotional toll. It can increase your rate of anxiety, depression, or burnout. There are certain stress-related conditions you should watch out for. Hair loss, diabetes, and heart disease are some of them. Obesity, hyperthyroidism, ulcers, and oral health issues can also be caused due to stress. Stress can give rise to anxiety disorders. This can lead to further complications. Did you know your diet plays a major role in your anxiety? Let's keep the conversation going with a couple more related videos, shall we? Check out 5 foods to avoid if you have anxiety. You can also watch 12 things you're doing because of high-functioning anxiety. Go ahead, click one, or better yet, watch both and learn more about your mental health. Are you feeling stressed? Did you know about these symptoms before watching this video? Let us know in the comments below.